What's up, y'all? It's me. I'm back. I know it's been a little bit, and I take these breaks. But I promise you, it's not because I don't want to upload. It's because my computer literally exploded. So there's that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it was a crap computer anyway. So once I upgrade and get a better one, I'm gonna be chilling. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, kind of be going back to my roots. It's gonna be just a DSLR camera and a mic, and I'm gonna have to, sync up the audio, which is gonna be mad annoying. Anyway, but that's not why I'm here. I wanted to talk about a docu series that came out recently. I think it's called "The Secrets of Hillsong." Hillsong was this big mega church. I'm pretty sure most people know it. I mean, if you don't, you probably heard one of their songs. Their songs were everywhere. It was everywhere. It even made like the top Billboard charts. It was just everywhere, especially around, I would say, I don't know, the early 2010s. It was this massive movement, one of the biggest Christian organizations in the world, and it affected a lot of people. Some people got saved because of it. Some people came to Christ because of it. Some people, they found salvation and peace and love, and some other people were hurt because of it. Some other people fell out of the faith because of it, because it hit such a downfall. In the docu series, it talks about essentially what was happening behind the scenes. It talks about what was happening in one of the biggest churches in the world, church networks. I don't know what you call it, and the darkness that was allowed to fester there. The people that it hurt, the the image it gave other churches that are just out there trying to do their best. It left a bad taste in my mouth. This is one of those things. It's just one of those things where you don't get used to that. You don't get used to seeing a failing on such a large level. Not that it's not redeemable. Not that these people can't still be saved or forgiven. Just on that scale. On a scale, it's a massive scale. It left me tired afterwards, like drained. Like after I was done, I was just like, after and even though there were certain biases in that from people from because it was on FX, so it's from more of a secular lens. So people who don't necessarily get the Bible or the culture or what it's truly about, and so they have you can see the biases, you can see the world influencing it in that. But they also weren't wrong. They weren't wrong. There was a lot of darkness that crept into there, that was allowed to creep into there, because man is weak and imperfect and disgusting. It was allowed to be there, and it was allowed to fester, and it was allowed to influence the rest of the environment, the rest of the culture. And and it makes us look bad. It makes Christians look bad. It makes us look like that. And I can be on here and be like, well, it's not all Christians and all that stuff, but that doesn't help anybody, because a lot of people have been hurt. And this is just another instance of people saying, see, this is exactly what I'm talking about. This exactly what happens. They're judgmental, and they aren't accepting of people where they are. And me personally, not everybody has to do this, but me personally, I gotta acknowledge that hurt. I have to acknowledge that people are hurt, and they've been hurt by not just Hillsong, but organizations like Hillsong, because there was an emphasis on numbers instead of people. At some point, people became numbers. And at some point, people just became a mass, a crowd. No one was an individual anymore at some point. And I think the worst thing you can do to a person is make them feel like they're not heard. Make them feel like no one cares. Like what they're going through, it doesn't matter. And it's a shame. It's a shame because there's so much good that can be done. There's so much good that probably was done. And all that gets thrown out, not because it didn't help somebody, but just because of the image of it gets thrown out. There needs to be a change. Something different must happen. It can't stay the same. It can't stay the same. Like in the Bible, and I'm gonna say this for any atheist or whatever. In the Bible, there are certain guidelines that are supposed to be followed in building a church, and I want you to know a lot of churches don't follow those guidelines. Now, that doesn't mean God can't use it. That doesn't mean there aren't good people in there. But when you are given instructions on how to build a thing in the way that God wanted, and you ignore it or you throw it to the wayside, or maybe you just didn't know, these type of things happen. People decide that it's better to run it a different way, like a business. And the way a corporation is run is by the margins, by what's on a spreadsheet, what's on a graph. Graphed? Graph. I'm sorry, y'all. What's on a graph? It's not run by the love of people. It's not run to see individuals. It's run to see numbers. It's run to see metrics, profit. Is run to appease the board, to appease the CEO. It's not run to care about the least of these, the least of us. It's run to take advantage of the least of us. And it's a shame because I remember seeing that early, and I was a kid when I was what 2011. So like Hillsong, me 2011, I was 13, and I remember seeing the shift of churches all around the world, all around. At least I'll speak for all around America. Change when they see Hillsong have this big success, and they're like, "Well, we can. I want that too. I want that too." So they change the way they set up. They change the way the church was run because they wanted to optimize people, optimize growth. But that's not growth happens for us when we care about where each individual soul goes. Growth happens when a soul gets saved, they then get mentored, they then get discipled. Growth doesn't happen, or growth, should I say, growth that means something doesn't happen just because you got 1,000 people in a venue for one service. That looks good. You know what I'm saying? That looks good. Take a picture of 1,000 people in your venue for your service. That you look like something's happening. But if we're being honest as people, especially as pastors, the what a pastor means in the Bible is is a shepherd. And if you know anything about being a shepherd, they know each one of their sheep individually. They know what's wrong with them. They know what's going on. They know what they eat. They know everything about their sheep individually. If you're running one of these mega churches, can you really know what's happening to the flock? I don't think so. And we just used pastor as like this catch-all title, but what we really mean is preacher. They preach. It's a preacher. They're great orators. They can speak to rooms of thousands and gather attention and gather interest, and that's good. That's necessary. But a pastor, that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to speak well. All it really means is that you have to care and deal with the responsibility of what comes with caring. You have to take care of the flock. And a lot of pastors these days, they a lot of pastors these days, they don't I don't think they truly understand the spiritual responsibility that comes with calling yourself a pastor. I think they say they do, but I don't think they truly understand. I don't think they truly understand it. It's one of the reasons why I never wanted to be a pastor because I don't believe that responsibility is for me. I think that type of attention and that type of people really caring about what you have to say, that can change a person, especially if they're not careful, especially if they haven't dealt with their own crap, whatever happened in their childhood, or or whatever happened that broke their heart, or whatever happened in their last church. If they blow up out of nowhere and they never dealt with that stuff, I don't I don't think it ends well for anybody. I mean, obviously that's why we need Jesus, but I just don't think that system is set up for success. I think there's ways that God has put into place that sets us up for success, and that we don't have to go through it. That's not a necessary thing that we hear every month, every year, about a pastor going through something like what Carl Lentz went through. Or we hear about something like what Brian Houston and his father allegedly did. I have to say allegedly for legal reasons. It doesn't have to be that way. It can be better. We can do better. We have to do better. Or we're going to lose a lot of people who could have been saved. The system has to change. It has to go back to the original structure. Because if it don't, well, we'll never be able to truly be able to do what the Bible says we should be able to do. Well, that's really, I guess, all I have to say. I feel like any longer I'll just be babbling on, and I gotta edit this down. But that's pretty much it. I we gotta do better, and the only way we do better is acknowledging the individual. You have to acknowledge the individual. Once we get lost in the masses, then we lose the part. We Once you get lost in the masses, you lose the point. And the point is too important to lose. Yeah, well, that's it. This is a little bit different. Just giving my thoughts on something. No video to react to. Kind of going back to old stomping grounds. Hopefully, this one turns out better than those. But let me know what you guys think. Let me know in the comments down below. I truly want to know what y'all think about this. I love y'all. Peace.
The thinking in the mind, oh, what a dangerous game. Just a moment with the wrong thought, here comes the downfall like a flood.